He will defend. Oh! LeBron James with no regard for human life.
You're now listening to the Win or Lose Sports Show. Talking sports, hip-hop to pop culture. Available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and wherever podcasts are heard. It's kickoff time.
Welcome back to another episode of the Win or Lose Sports Show. This is episode 18 and week 6 of the weekly pick'em. It has been a tremendously great year so far for the Dallas Cowboys. Despite all the doubters, despite all the injuries, all the quarterback, quote unquote, quarterback controversy, Dallas Cowboys are looking pretty good. Pretty decent. 4-1 after 5 weeks. Only loss was to week 1 was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, last week I did 11 wins and 5 losses. The most wins I've gotten all season on the weekly pick'em. I think I'm doing pretty good, considering that Thursday night games, I'm probably 0 for 5. 0 for 5. And London games, I'm definitely 0 for 2 so far. Last week, the Green Bay Packers was my pick for the London game, and they lost to the Giants, who came back and won. And it was a good game. I'm not going to take it away from the Giants, but they played a great game, won the game, and hey. You never know what could happen in the NFL. That's why we love this sport. That's why we love the NFL. I keep saying that over and over again, but it's such an unpredictable situation. Like on any given Sunday, as the movie or the term says, anybody can win. And I think that's why football fans are so loyal to the game and will watch any football game, to be honest, because it's such a good sport to watch. Anything can happen. Not that basketball is not a good sport, but hey, NFL is a different type of thing, a different beast, if I can use that term, because it's such play after play after play. Something can happen. Somebody get injured. Somebody can step up and be the unexpected hero of the game. Unexpected quarterback who can come back and win the game. It's fun to watch. So, on to this week's pick'em, week number 6. Last week was a great week for me. I got 11 wins. First week I had 7. Second week I had 9. Third week I had 10. Fourth week I went back to 9, and fifth week I got 11 wins and only 5 losses. So hopefully I can keep up the trend and stay on top of those wins and make some good picks. I got to do better with the Thursday night game. So tomorrow's Thursday night game is the Washington Commanders going into Chicago against the Bears. Now, Commanders are not a good team. Ron Rivera is not very confident with his quarterback. As he said, what's the difference between his team and the other NFC teams? He said, the quarterback. Which, Dallas has a backup quarterback, Cooper Rush, who's been winning the last 4 games for us. And he's not confident in Carson Wentz to win games for the Commanders. So will there be a quarterback change in Washington? There was a coaching change in Carolina. So head coach of the Carolina Panthers got fired Monday after Sunday's game after not a good start. I think they're 1-3. So 1-4 now. So 1-4. That's understandable. They haven't had a good start this year. Last year or the year before, they started 3-0 and didn't finish good. So they're not winning the games they should win. So he got fired. So game 1, Thursday. The Commanders going to Chicago. I'm going to go with the Bears since there's such an uneasy presence in Washington with the coach and the quarterback, and they're just not winning games. So I don't believe they can go into Chicago and beat the Bears. So I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears on that game. Next game. There's no London game this week. Good. So, next game is the Baltimore Ravens going into New York to play the Giants. That is a good game. Even though the Giants are one of the top teams in the NFC, I just don't believe that they are good enough to beat the Ravens. So, I'm going to go with the Ravens, who are playing, they're playing good, decent. Top of the AFC North division. So I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens over the New York Giants in that game. Next game is the Cincinnati Bengals going into the New Orleans Saints at home. Both of these teams are I would say, less than mediocre right now. Not performing well. Even though the Saints did play decent last week and won the game with Taysom Hill running the ball and scoring touchdowns. So I'm going to go with New Orleans because the Bengals aren't looking good at all. To be a Super Bowl team or AFC champion last year, they're not looking good at all. So I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints over the Cincinnati Bengals in that game. Next game is the 2-1 Indianapolis Colts facing their divisional rival, AFC South, Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville's not looking too bad. They're looking good over the last couple games. They're not great. The Colts are not great, but they are playing at home. It could be a surprise or upset that the Jacksonville Jaguars win, but Matt Ryan is the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm going to go with the Colts at home against the struggling or not so struggling Jacksonville Jaguars. Are they struggling or not? Are they just playing up to how good they are? We never know. So I'm going to go with the Colts because I'm not too sure about Jacksonville. The next game is an interesting game. The surprisingly good NFC North leading Minnesota Vikings going into Miami. Miami's is got some issues here because there's been 3 concussions in the last 2 weeks with their quarterbacks. So they're not protecting their quarterback at all. Teddy Bridgewater was he was out the game last week with a concussion. The week before, as we all know, Tua Tagovailoa got 2 concussions in the last 2 games. On the Sunday night game and on the Thursday night game. He was concussed and he's not playing right now. So he had Teddy Bridgewater starting, but he got concussed last Sunday. So I don't know what's going on in Miami, but there's not any protection for the quarterback. Quarterbacks are being hurt, being concussed, and they're not winning games. They started off 3-0. They lost 2 in a row. So I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings, who are surprisingly good this year, with Kirk Cousins as the starting quarterback. There's something about Kirk I just don't trust. So that's why I keep saying the surprisingly good Minnesota Vikings. I know it's not winning is not all about the quarterback, but it depends a lot on the quarterback and his decision making, as we can see in Denver. I think has a bye this week. No, they played Monday night, so I'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings going into Miami to beat the Miami Dolphins in that game. So this is, I think a few teams have byes this week, so it's going to be a shorter week. So next game is the New England Patriots going into Cleveland to face the Browns. That's the game. I'm just like, there's a scale there, and the scale is even, pretty even, because I don't know where this game goes. This is going to be a game that I might want to watch because it might be a good game. Because offensively, these teams aren't too strong, but defensively, they're not too strong either. But they have won games this year. I think I'm going to go with the Patriots. I just don't trust Cleveland enough to pick them to win a game. The Patriots have been winning the last couple games. It's just back and forth. I think they lost one and won one the last two games. Same thing with Cleveland. So these are two teams that I really don't trust, or I don't have any pertinent information that I can say who can win this game. Because these are two of the middle of the road or less than mediocre teams who are just not there. And you can't say who is better than who because they're both on the same playing field, which is it can turn out to be a good game. So we can look forward to watching New England go into Cleveland and see who can win that game. But I'm going to pick New England to win that game. All right, next game is the Green Bay Packers hosting the Jets, who are 3-2. Both teams are 3-2. Jets are surprisingly 3-2, but they're winning. At the same time, Packers lost to the Giants last week in the London game. It looked like Aaron Rodgers, he still doesn't have that connection with his receivers. There's a lot of passes that are overthrown. A lot of throws that he won't throw downfield because he doesn't have faith that his receivers will go up and get it. But he is Aaron Rodgers. He's at home in Green Bay. So I'm going to go with the Packers over the Jets in that game. And hopefully we'll see a better version of the Packers, a better version of Aaron Rodgers connecting with his receivers. And they don't look too bad defensively. It's just, offensively, they don't have that synergy, that chemistry that they had, of course, with Davante Adams going to Las Vegas, who's not looking good. Davante Adams was I think he was hurt after the last game because it just wasn't there. There's a lot of throws and a lot of situations to where Aaron Rodgers or him and Aaron Rodgers will make a better connection and have that synergy to make plays and make things happen so they can win games. And the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have that with the receivers that he has on his team. So that's what they're missing with each other, with Derek Carr and Davante Adams. Even though they did play together in college, NFL is different. The speed of the game is different. The situations are different. So you're going to find that in the pro, when you have that connection with a quarterback, I would stay there with that quarterback. I don't care how much money. If I'm winning, I want to win. But is it, I can't say that Tyreek Hill, he went to Miami and he got paid. So it was about the money for him because he, got to take care of his family. But he doesn't have that. He had the connection with Tua Tagovailoa from the first 3 games we saw before he got hurt. But that's not there right now because he's hurt. Bridgewater's hurt. So now there's a third string quarterback who's just not getting it done. So Packers still going to win that game over the Jets in Green Bay. All right. Moving on to the next game is the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers going into Atlanta to face the Falcons. That's an easy pick for me. I think that San Francisco is just a much better team than Atlanta. It could be an upset, but I don't think it will be. San Francisco wins that game. in Atlanta. Next game is the disappointing. Even though I'm not a Steelers fan at all, I've never been a Steelers fan. I'm not even close to being a Steelers fan because I'm a Cowboys fan. But they're having a disappointing season. The way they looked last week was sad, to say the least. Offensively, they just don't have it. Najee Harris is not getting anything done, running the ball, and the quarterbacks are not connecting with the receivers. Defensively, they don't look good either. Even though Pittsburgh is known to be a great defensive team, and they still have the same defensive system that's been in Pittsburgh since Mike Tomlin got there, who's never had a losing season in Pittsburgh. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who's going to go in and beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Sorry to point to Pittsburgh Steelers fans, but they're just not having a good year this year. I think they'll end up 1-5 after this week, and we'll see what happens. I don't think that they'll fire Mike Tomlin or anything like that. I just think they need a change when it comes to their system because everybody's catching up to it. Of course, they need a quarterback to run the offense, but defensively, they're not looking good either. So, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tampa Bay, not Green Bay, Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Steelers in that game. All right, next game, NFC West. Kyler Murray goes into Seattle, faces Seahawks. Even though Geno Smith may be having a decent season, I think Kyler Murray is just a better quarterback and has a better team behind him. So I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals over the Seattle Seahawks. That simple. Next game is the Rams hosting the Panthers. Rams lost to the Cowboys last week. They don't look bad. They couldn't face the Cowboys' defensive line or defensive rush. They don't have the offensive line to stop that type of rush. But here comes Carolina going into Los Angeles and SoFi. The Rams aren't a bad team, so I think they can win this game. Matt Stafford is still a decent quarterback. And they still have a great defense. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. And amongst the other teammates on defense, they still have a decent offense with Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford. Carolina, on the other hand, has their quarterback who came from Cleveland, who might be out, and they just fired their coach. So I'm going to go with the Rams over the Panthers in Los Angeles to win that game. All right, this next game might be the game of the week. Well, it is the game of the week. Actually, Buffalo Bills go into Kansas City to face the Chiefs. Both teams are 4-1. AFC on top of the AFC East and the AFC West. East versus West in the AFC. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills, who are going to go in and upset the Chiefs in Kansas City. Reason being is the Chiefs defense. Chiefs defense is decent, but I don't think it can stop Josh Allen and his receivers core. And the Buffalo defense, I believe, is the best defense in the AFC. I think they're going to mix things up to be able to stop Patrick Mahomes and his offense. Andy Reid and his offensive scheme. I just think that Buffalo is a better team. I think they looked bad on one game against the Miami Dolphins when they were together. The second or third game of the season. Other than that, they've been looking great. They beat the Steelers pretty good amongst other teams. I just think that the Buffalo Bills are more well put together offensively and defensively to beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. Still the game of the week. I think it's going to be a great game. but I think that the Buffalo Bills are a better team. Next game is another game of the week. Of course, it's my game of the week because it's the Dallas Cowboys going into Philadelphia to face the Eagles. Now, most people are going to pick the Eagles to win because they're 5-0. I'm going to pick the Dallas Cowboys because I believe our defensive line, and our linebackers are going to put a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts. The only thing about Jalen is he doesn't stay in the pocket a lot. So that's one thing that we have to watch is his scrambling, and he can move the ball up the field with his legs and with his arms. But I think only thing that I'm worried about is our offense is that we're not putting touchdowns on the scoreboard. We're mainly field goals, and that's not going to win in the long run. That's not going to put up a lot of wins especially in the playoffs. We got to score touchdowns. That's one thing I'm saying. Like when Dak is healthy, he has to start because he can throw the ball downfield and put up and get touchdowns and put up numbers. 105 yards is what Cooper Rush got last week. That's not going to win a Super Bowl. That's not going to win playoff games. That's not going to win big games in the regular season either. So he has to put up big numbers on the passing offense. Running the ball, we did pretty decent. I think Zeke Elliott had 76 yards and Pollard had like 86 or 87, 89 yards. So the running game, if we keep that consistently, running the ball like that, we can win. But we have to put up more than 105 passing yards to beat these teams. I'm going to pick the Cowboys. Of course, that's my team. I cannot go with a opponent, especially a divisional opponent, against my team. And I just believe that we can win this game. Cowboys going to win this game, going into Philadelphia to tie first place for the NFC East. So if you think that Philadelphia is going to win this game and go 6-0, let me know in the comments so we can talk about it. Because I don't believe that they can win. I believe that the Cowboys are going to go in and win and surprisingly upset the Philadelphia Eagles. Our defense is going to surprise. Don't forget it now. I know we have our Micah Parsons and Lawrence on the D line, but don't forget we still have Diggs as our cornerback, who's the best cornerback in the game right now. 11 interceptions last year, and people won't throw the ball his way. Well, if they do, it's going to be trouble. So, Dallas is going to win that game. Next game, Monday night game, it's going to be an interesting game because these two teams, I don't know if they're not disappointing, but the Chargers are looking better than the Broncos at this point. The Broncos are not looking good at all, to be honest, especially the way they played last week when they couldn't win, couldn't get the ball in the end zone. It's like Russell Wilson is not seeing the field like he used to. There were a few plays when receivers were open and he would not throw them the ball. He threw the ball into double coverage when you had somebody who was wide open. And that's troublesome. It's like he's not seeing the field or won't see the field. I don't know what it is, but he's not seeing the field very well. And he's not throwing the ball like he should, like he used to, like he did in Seattle. So is it a system thing for Russell? He looks confused and flustered out there. And I know he says things that are confident during the press conference and during media, but he's not looking confident on the field. So I'm going to go with the Chargers, who are in LA at SoFi, winning this game against the Broncos. I'm sorry, the Broncos just don't look fantastic. They don't look good at all this year, especially on offense. Russell Wilson is not looking like Russell Wilson in Seattle. He looks like somebody who's lost out there on the field. Just doesn't look good. So those are my picks for the week. Let's go back and review. So Thursday night game, tomorrow's game, the Bears over the Commanders. Sunday's games, you have the Ravens over the Giants, the Saints over the Bengals, the Colts over the Jaguars, the Vikings over the Dolphins, the Patriots over the Browns, the Packers over the Jets, the 49ers over the Falcons, the Buccaneers over the Steelers, the Cardinals over the Seahawks, the Rams over the Panthers, the Buffalo Bills over the Kansas City Chiefs, the game of the week, upset of the week maybe, and the Cowboys over the Eagles, another game of the week, and the Monday night game is the Chargers over the Broncos. Now, if you would like to join our weekly pick'em, it's your time. Why not? You can still go week by week and see who make the better picks. Go to cbssports.com/win-and-lose, or go to our website winandloseshow.com/pick'em and join our weekly pick'em. You can also follow us on social media at Win and Lose Show. That's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And follow and subscribe on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/win-and-lose-show. So make sure you subscribe and download our podcast on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and wherever podcasts are heard. Thanks everybody for watching, listening to the Win and Lose Show. See you next time.